Have you ever had a dream so big it scared you? A dream that felt like a mountain you had to climb? Well, for a young man named Everin, that wasn't just a metaphor, it was his reality. Ever since he was a boy, Everin lived in a small village nestled at the foot of the great snow-covered peaks. He would spend hours just staring at them, lost in thought, whispering to himself, "One day, I'll stand on top of you." That wasn't just a wish, it was a promise. When Everin turned 20, the day he had been waiting for finally arrived. His heart pounded with a mix of excitement and fear. He joined a small team, equipped with old, well-worn gear. But what he lacked in modern equipment, he made up for with an unshakable fire in his heart. His first target was Mount Kalindi, one of the tallest and most treacherous peaks in the entire region. The climb began, and with every step upward, Arun felt his dream getting closer. The air grew thinner, the rocks sharper, but his spirit soared. But mountains are unpredictable. Halfway to the summit, the clear blue sky turned into a furious gray. A storm, sudden and violent, descended upon them. The winds didn't just blow, they howled like angry spirits, threatening to rip them right off the face of the cliff. The experienced climbers in his team knew this was a death sentence. They decided to turn back. Arun, fueled by pure determination, protested. He wanted to keep going, to push through. He was so close. But the team leader's voice cut through the roaring wind, sharp and final. "Arun, a dead climber never reaches the top." The words hit him harder than the icy wind. Reluctantly, with his dream crumbling before his eyes, he began the long, painful descent. He didn't just come down from the mountain, he came crashing down to earth. He called it a failure. A public, humiliating failure. For weeks, he couldn't bring himself to meet anyone's eyes. In the village, the whispers followed him like a shadow. "He couldn't make it," they'd say, a mix of pity and mockery in their voices. The sting of their words was worse than any physical pain. But the deepest cut came from his own family. His father, a simple man who had sold their only cow, their main source of livelihood, just to buy Arun's climbing boots, looked at him with gentle eyes and said softly, "You tried, son. That's what matters." But Arun couldn't accept it. To him, trying and failing was just failing. The shame was a heavy cloak he couldn't shake off. He felt he had let everyone down, especially himself. Unable to bear the weight of his perceived failure, Arun knew he couldn't stay. He packed a small bag, and one night, without a word, he left the village. He didn't run away from his dream. He ran towards a new way of achieving it. He decided that if he was going to conquer the mountain, he had to become a mountain himself, strong, resilient, and unmovable. The next few years were a grueling test of his resolve. He traveled, taking on any job he could find, and climbed smaller, less intimidating mountains. He wasn't just climbing for sport, he was studying. He became a student of the peaks. He learned to read the sky and predict weather patterns. He mastered the art of survival in the harshest conditions. He saved every single coin he earned, slowly building up his funds for better gear. Every climb was a classroom. Every time he slipped on a patch of ice, he learned about balance. Every time he misjudged a handhold and fell, he learned about precision and focus. Every time he failed to reach a summit, he didn't see it as a loss. Instead, he would sit down, take out a small notebook, and write down exactly what went wrong. He documented every single mistake, turning them into lessons. And through this process, a profound realization began to dawn on him. He wrote it down in his journal one evening. Failure isn't the opposite of success, it's the path to it. He finally understood. The first attempt on Mount Kalindi wasn't a failure. It was the first, most important lesson. At 28, 8 years after he had left in shame, Arun returned to his village. He was a different man. His hair was longer, his face weathered by sun and wind, and his body was lean and powerful, carved from years of relentless training. But his eyes still burned with the same fire, the same dream that had set him on this path as a boy. The villagers saw him, and some of them laughed. "Look who's back," they snickered. "Didn't you learn your lesson the first time?" This time, Arun didn't flinch. He didn't look away. He simply smiled, a calm, confident smile. "I did," he replied. "That's why I'll make it this time." The second ascent of Mount Kalindi began. The familiar cliffs greeted him like old adversaries. The thin air challenged his lungs just as before. But this time, everything was different because he was different. When the inevitable storm began to brew, Arun wasn't surprised or scared. He was ready. He had studied its patterns for years. He knew exactly where to find shelter. He had learned to anchor his ropes with an expert's precision, making them immovable against the gale force winds. He knew how to conserve his precious oxygen, taking slow, deliberate breaths. He moved smarter, not faster, understanding that endurance, not speed, wins the battle against the mountain. He was no longer fighting the mountain. He was dancing with it. 3 grueling days later, after a battle of will and wits, he pulled himself over the final ledge. He stood up, breathing heavily, and looked around. He was there. The summit. The top of his world. Below him, the world stretched out into an endless panorama of beauty. The deep valleys, the winding rivers, and in the distance, the tiny cluster of homes that was his village. The same village that had once mocked him now looked so small, so peaceful. A tear of pure, overwhelming emotion rolled down his cheek, freezing instantly in the biting cold. But his smile was the warmest thing on that peak. He reached into his pack and pulled out a small handmade flag. He planted it firmly in the pristine snow. On it, he had written just 3 simple words that told his entire story. I failed forward. Arun's journey teaches us something so incredibly important. Failure isn't the end of the road. It's not a wall blocking your path. It's a signpost, a guide, showing you that you're on the right track, the one that leads to growth and ultimately success. Every time you fall, every time you stumble, you are simply learning how to stand up taller, stronger, and wiser than before. So whatever your mountain is, don't be afraid to fail. Embrace it, learn from it, and use it to fail forward. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more content that I hope will inspire you on your own journey. See you in the next one.